Hello everybody, it's Big Al with more content for Lord of the Rings Rise to War. This video is going to be kind of a miscellaneous beginner's guide. I'm going to talk about a bunch of different topics and give the basics out for the newer players. I'm going to talk about some gear, strengthening, refining, what stats and abilities and set effects are, the relocate parameters for most servers, and then some purple items to stockpile, which ones you want to get rid of for strengthening, things like that. So first, I am in a Rebuilding Glory server. So with Rebuilding Glory, one of the extra things to that is you level up the keeps, you develop them. So what that means is you click on a keep and you hit enter. So then you go to assign a commander. And this is one cool thing that they added that they didn't used to have. They put a thumbs up because if you see it, the development progress in the bottom right is plus 5%. Now if I go to other commanders, it's 0%. So once you do that, it's going to give you tasks. And depending on what level the keep currently is at, depends on the level of the task. The more stars they have, the more points you get, and the more points you earn towards the development. So in a Rebuilding Glory server, that is one of the added things. Just like every server, the ultimate goal is to get to Dol Guldur and capture the ring. So that's going to be every server. With I can't think of the name of the other server. TE. Well, there's another server out there with TE that will have different buffs for different troops. It's kind of one of those things where you have faction mate, you're fighting for the center, but you also have different units that you can use because they have different buffs. But so those are the basics on Rebuilding Glory. Okay. And like I said, any server, ultimately you want to get to Dol Guldur and take the ring. Next, I am going to talk about relocating. So there are certain parameters for any server, and the servers have it slightly different. Some servers you can relocate to a neutral area, some servers you can't. I don't remember if it's TE or Ring of Power that you can't unless you own it. So I'm going to click on a tile that I own. I'm going to hit build, and then I'm going to hit temporary. And the way you build a temporary pad is you take 9 1x1 tiles and make it into a square, so it'll be 3x3. After that, you have to meet the region restrictions. Again, some servers you cannot relocate into neutral territory. Some you can. You are always able to relocate inside of a territory you own, and you cannot build a temporary pad touching another settlement. So as you see here, we are close together, but there's one tile between us. That is the only restriction. You are now allowed to build next to mountains, next to rivers. You cannot build on roads. You cannot build touching a keep. So that's that for relocates. Next, I'm going to talk about gear. So let me go into my item bag. So I have talked about this before in another video, but I want to touch on it again. So you have the abilities, which are this top section, right here where it says Acts of Khazad-dûm, you see Commander Damage. Those are the abilities. Then down here where it says Commander Attack, Commander Defense, some of them will have Unit Attack, Unit Defense. Those are the stats. And then you have the gear set effects, which are these down here towards the bottom, where it says Power Overwhelming is 1. You have a bunch of different set effects: Upkeep, Fortitude, and then you have like Sharp Blade, Lord of Arcane, Might. And you get those by forming 2-piece sets or 4-piece sets. So it's an added buff to your formation. Okay? Now, up here on the abilities, there is only 3 different ones that can come up. You can have Commander Damage, you can have Command, and then you can have hit points. And it all depends on what kind of character you are using, which one you need. Okay, so now I am going to talk about strengthening and refining equipment. So I'm going to go down here to just something regular I have. I'm going to use this cutlass. Okay, now if I want to strengthen, I have to use any purple weapon because cutlass is a weapon. So I would just click on which one I want to use and then hit OK. And then right here it shows you what it does. Over here it shows you where it does the buff. So if I strengthen this once, I will get +6 to unit defense instead of +5. And the more you strengthen it, the higher those numbers go. So now when we talk about strengthening, you have 5 different levels. Okay, the 5th level is maxed. To strengthen it once, you have to put in 1 item, okay, to strengthen it. This level 2, you have to put 2 items in it. Level 3 is 3 items. Level 4 is 5 items. And then level 5 is 8 items. So you end up putting 16 items inside one item to fully strengthen it. And I believe, and I'm almost positive on this, all of the base stats for an item can get multiplied by 3. So this one starts at commander defense +3 and unit defense 5. So maxed out, this commander defense would become 9 and the unit defense would become 15. Honestly, I don't remember if it's that way on blues. I know it is on purples. So, like I said, strengthening, you'll end up having 16 items in there. And I know that seems like a lot, but eventually you will have enough gear where it does not matter. You definitely do need to strengthen and refine. Now I'm going to talk about refining. So what refining does is it upgrades the ability. So here it's 65 command. So when I refine it, it would become 78. Now with refining, it's the same thing. There is 5 levels. But with refining, I can only refine the item with the exact same item. See how it's only showing me cutlasses? So if I did that, it would make the cutlass have 78 command instead of 65. So on refinement, okay, there's different levels. So with refinement, the level 1, you're using 1 of the same item. Level 2, you're using 1 item again of the same item. Level 3 is 2 pieces. Level 4 is 2 pieces. And then to get it fully refined at level 5 would be another 3 pieces. So now let me also go back and I'm going to show you something else inside Commander because we're talking about stats. As you see, I'm in the regular Commander icon, the screen. Now if you go to and click on these actual words, they'll actually give you definitions, okay? And a big one is command, okay? That is something to pay attention to, because as you see, it gives damage received minus 1.9%, damage dealt plus 1.9. Then if Gimli was doing some healing, it would give him an additional 3.8%, okay? So if you ever have questions, try coming into like one of the main screens and clicking on something, like right here at the sword, which is commander attack. And as you see, affects ability to inflict physical damage. Okay, commander attack only deals with physical damage. And then I could click on the defense. So don't be afraid to play around and look at things. You're not going to mess anything up. If you went and clicked on, say, the wrong thing, like this, okay, it's either going to take you to another screen or it's going to ask you, are you sure you want to do that? Okay. Next, I want to talk about a couple commanders, okay? You're going to have epic commanders, which are the purple, legendary, which are the gold, and then you're going to have mythic that are orange. Those are your different tiers, 1, 2, and 3, or epic, legendary, and mythic. After you've had a few seasons, you're going to end up going away from using the epic commanders. But do not be afraid to use your epic commanders when you're first starting out. You have to make the most out of what you got. I've talked about it before. You can ascend commanders. So what that means is, I'm going to use Merry Pip. He is an epic commander. Now, when he gets to respect level 4, he is maxed out. I cannot give him any more respect. But I could do Ascension. See how it says Waiting Ascension over here? If I click on that, okay, down on the bottom it tells me what I need, the items to ascend him. Okay, and one thing they did change is you can use any of the purple items for Merry and Pip. You can use any of the gold items, of the respect items. You don't have to use that same person's respect. Now, what that does, if I were to put him to legendary, it would give him a little more damage. It would give him a little more hit points. And it would also give him a little more command. I know you're thinking, okay, that's great, and that's easy to do, but some of the commanders are a waste to do it. Again, when you're leveling commanders, and I'm talking about leveling with the respect levels, do not try to raise everybody's respect evenly. Okay? Take 6, 7 commanders, and I really don't like even saying that much. I want to say 4 commanders, but say 6 or 7 commanders and focus on getting the respect items for them. Get them up to a higher respect, to where you're using them, they have more skill points, because the different respect levels also affect how many skill points you start out with. Okay? So the next thing I want to talk about is also with the gear. Okay, I'm going to talk about purple gear. I'm not going to talk about blue because honestly, blue is a waste. If you have to have something on, even at the beginning, just throw the blue on, but do not focus on blue. You need to focus on purple and gold. But if you have to use it, use it. So there are certain items of purple that you are going to want to stockpile. And what I mean by that is, I'm going to take right here these battle axes. Okay, I stockpiled the battle axes because they are the best in slot purple weapon for physical damage dealers. And what a physical damage dealer, I'm talking about Dwalin, Dane, Gimli, Aragon, Lurtz. Okay, I'm using those as the examples. So I have, if you see here, I have 3 of these battle axes with all different set effects. Okay, so over time, you're going to be able to match-up set effects. When you're building your gear, worry about the stats, and the stats are these right here: commander attack, unit defense, and this up here, the ability. Okay, this down here is the last thing you should worry about. It is, if you can make a set, great, but only if the stats and the ability match up to what your commander needs. So, things that you're going to want multiple set effects of: the battle axe, because again, that goes on damage, physical damage dealers. You're going to want multiple cutlasses. Those are used on your tanks, on a lot of your supports. As you can see, I have it on Frodo and Sam and Boromir. I also have a couple different of the crossbow because certain commanders have a skill that modifies off focus, but they also need command. So I'll throw one of those on just to get some modification. So you want to stockpile the battle axe, the cutlass, and the crossbow. You don't really have to, but that's up to you. Another one you might want to keep is the carver, but I would only recommend keeping one or two of those. You don't have as many focus damage dealers, and focus damage dealers would take commander focus and the ability the ability of commander damage. Okay, so that's for the weapons. Now let me do this even further. That way I have less to scroll through. Okay, I don't even have all of the items. So, couple items that you can straight use for strengthening, okay, is the Elven Dirks. You are very rarely going to use, because if you want focus and you want commander damage, the Carver is the way to go. So you can use the Elven Dirk to strengthen things. I'm going to show you another quick shortcut. This is kind of a down the rabbit hole thing, but if you click on the item while you're inside of your bag, I think, and you can do it on your commander, if you click on where it says the ability, commander damage, you can actually pull up this screen and you can look at the materials and it will show you what items are inside of it. So in my opinion, the Mirkwood bow, it can be used by certain commanders, but I mean, if you want to run, like Theoden might be able to use it because he has things that modify off command, and you're also giving unit attack. So I'll keep that one in the maybe list. This Easterling Spear, it would be one for a damage dealer. I do not recommend keeping it. Focus on getting a battle axe. The battle axe, the skills and the damage are just way outweigh the Easterling Spear. So don't feel bad about using the Easterling Spear, the Elven Dirk, and last but not least is the Warhammer. This again would be for a focused damage dealer, but it gives some commander damage, it gives some focus. But the better option is the Carver, because you're getting more focus and more commander damage. Okay, and I'm going to go through these other ones a little bit faster. So on the helmet, horseman helms are ones that you want to stockpile. The full helms are ones you're going to want to stockpile. And the bone mask is a good idea to have multiple of. The Arnor cask, I use all the Arnor casks for strengthening because I rather have the horseman's helm. It gives you more command and more unit defense, and those are the important stats on the commanders that you're going to use that on. The brutal helmet, same thing. Commander defense +6 does not mean much, so get rid of that. The trapper's hood can be used by, again, a troop buff commander. It has command, it has unit attack. So you can try to keep some of those around if you want, but there are better options. So the Brutal Helm and the R&R Cask are definitely what I would get rid of. Use those for strengthening. Armor. Okay, this one's more complicated because the Scout's Mail, it gives commander attack, commander focus, and initiative, which can come in handy. You have the Scale Mail that gives you the most commander attack out of any of the purple gear. You have the Superior Hawbuck that gives you the most unit defense out of any of the gear. You do have the Hunter Skin that gives you commander focus and unit defense, which is not bad on commanders like Gandalf the Grey, Gandalf the White. You can use it on Erwin as well. Okay, so pretty much all those, you're going to want to try to build a couple different of those over time. The one that I think is completely useless is the Quilted Armor. It gives very little focus, and commander defense is not that important, honestly, when it comes to skills. And last but not least, the accessories. Okay, the Drums of Moria are top when it comes to unit defense and command. You're going to want these for your tanks and your support commanders, Frodo, Boromir, Falcon. Okay, you have the Fiddle. I recommend the Fiddle for Gandalf the Grey. Anyone else? Just about, you can either put the Fiddle or the Harp for the focus. Harp gives you hit points. The Fiddle gives you command. Okay, so recommend keeping some Drums of Moria. Get one or two harps. Get one or two fiddles. Okay. Next will be Bone Talisman. That is the best commander attack purple accessory for physical damage dealers. But it has the evil aura, so you cannot use that on elf commanders. Worn out smoking pipe is one that you can use in replace of that if you have to. There's also Athelian rope. What the difference is, it gives some commander focus instead of commander defense. You also have the Wizard's Fireworks. This same thing, you can use it on like a Theoden or somebody that is buffing troop damage because it's giving command and unit attack. So all the accessories have a use for them between the commanders. As far as I see it, the Firework is probably the one used the least out of the different accessories. So I hope that helps. Next, I'm going to talk about, where's my base? I am going to talk about Barracks. Okay, many people make this mistake. Mine has been transitioned and I haven't had full enough barracks where I started dismantling troops yet. But keep your barracks simple. Okay, I run a bunch of different formations. Okay, but I'm streamlining my barracks currently to where I'm going to be using Swan Knights because we're Gundor. I'm going to use Guardians. I'm going to use Eagles. And then I have Borings for Siege. Okay, those are going to be 80% of my barracks. But do not make the mistake of, oh, look, I have a bunch of shiny tier 3 units I can build. So let me build a little bit of each of them. Don't do that. Figure out which units you're going to use and just pump those out. Don't worry about the other units. Yes, you can mix up units here and there. That's not a problem. But don't just make them because you have them. Conscript units with a purpose. Okay? It will simplify things for you, and it will also help make your barracks grow faster if you're building the same things, say 4 or 5 different units constantly. Okay? So that's pretty much all I got for that today. I hope this helps some of the beginners, even some that have been around a couple seasons, that can pick up one or two things that I have said. Okay, so that's it. As always, make the most out of what you got.